The loud scream echoed through the halls of the big Whitmore mansion, breaking the quiet of a Sunday morning in Beacon Hill, Boston. Eliza Hartman, a 28-year-old woman with dark brown skin and determined eyes, froze in the middle of the hallway. The pile of clean towels she was carrying slipped from her shaking arms. "Thief! A thief in my house!" Harriet Whitmore's sharp voice rang out again, followed by the sound of quick footsteps coming down the grand marble staircase. Eliza's heart pounded in her chest. She had worked for the Whitmore family for almost 5 years, always doing her job honestly and with care. What could be wrong? Before she could figure out what was happening, Harriet Whitmore appeared at the top of the stairs. Her usually calm face looked angry, and her bright blue eyes stared at Eliza like icy daggers. "You!" Harriet pointed a shaky finger at Eliza. "How could you, after everything we've done for you?" Eliza felt her whole body freeze. "Mrs. Whitmore, I don't understand. What happened?" "Don't act stupid." Harriet marched down the stairs, holding something in her hand. It was a shiny diamond necklace, her most valuable piece of jewelry. "I found this hidden in your things," Harriet yelled. "Did you think you could steal it and get away with it?" The accusation hit Eliza like a heavy blow. "No, ma'am, I would never. There must be some mistake." But Harriet wasn't listening. Her face turned red with anger as she called for her husband and the security guard. In just a few minutes, Eliza was surrounded. Everyone stared at her with accusing eyes. "I didn't steal anything," Eliza cried, tears forming in her eyes. "Please, you have to believe me." George Whitmore, Harriet's husband, walked into the room. He was a big man with a neat mustache. He looked at Eliza with a mix of sadness and anger. "Eliza," he said, his voice heavy, "we trusted you. How could you do this to us?" His words felt like a knife in Eliza's heart. She had always been proud of her honesty and hard work. Now everything was falling apart because of a lie. "Call the police," Harriet demanded, her voice shaking with fury. Eliza panicked. If she was arrested for stealing, it would ruin her life forever. "Please," she begged, looking around at everyone. "I'm innocent. There has to be another explanation." But no one believed her. The security guard was already calling the police. Eliza felt like the ground beneath her was crumbling. How could this happen? While they waited for the police, Eliza was taken to the kitchen, far away from the angry looks of the Whitmore family. She sat on a hard wooden chair, trying not to cry. Her mind raced as she thought about the last few days. Nothing made sense. After what felt like forever, police sirens wailed outside. Eliza's heart sank even deeper. She was about to be arrested for something she didn't do. 2 police officers walked into the kitchen. They looked serious. "Miss Eliza," one of them said, holding a notebook, "you need to come with us to answer some questions." Eliza nodded silently. Her legs felt wobbly as she stood up. As she was led out of the house, she passed the living room. The Whitmore family was gathered there. Harriet looked at her with triumph, while George Whitmore just looked tired. Then Eliza saw Caitlin, the Whitmore's teenage daughter, standing quietly in a corner. Their eyes met for a moment. Eliza noticed Caitlin looked guilty and scared. But before she could think more about it, the police officers led her outside to the waiting car. Eliza glanced back at the mansion one last time as she got into the car. 5 years of hard work, all gone in an instant. But even in her sadness, a tiny spark of determination lit inside her. She was innocent, and somehow she would prove it. At the police station, Eliza was questioned for hours. The detectives asked her the same questions again and again, trying to catch her in a lie. But Eliza told the truth every time. "Miss Eliza," said Detective Johnson, a tired-looking man, "this is serious. We have the Whitmore family's story and the necklace found with your things. If you admit to it now, it might help your case." Eliza looked him in the eye and said firmly, "Detective, I can't admit to something I didn't do. I've worked too hard to build my life honestly. I won't ruin it with a lie." The detective studied her face for a long moment, then sighed. All right, Miss Eliza. For now, you'll be held in a cell while we investigate. You can make one phone call. I suggest calling a lawyer. Eliza nodded, her throat tight with fear. When she was alone in the cell, she sat on the hard bench and thought about who to call. Her family lived far away in Chicago, and she didn't have close friends in Boston. Most of her money was saved to help her sick mother, so she couldn't afford a good lawyer. Just then, she heard voices in the hallway. A tall man with gray hair at his temples was being led to a nearby cell. He wore a fancy suit, even though it was a little wrinkled. "This is ridiculous," the man shouted. "Do you know who I am?" The policeman leading him didn't care. "Mr. Callahan, you were caught drunk driving. You'll stay here overnight. Your lawyer has been called." Eliza watched as the man sat in his cell, still fuming. He noticed her staring and snapped. "What are you looking at? Never seen someone wrongly accused?" His words made Eliza speak up. "Actually, I'm in the same situation." The man raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really? What happened to you?" Eliza hesitated, but then told him everything. She explained how the necklace had been found and how she was innocent. When she finished, the man said, "So you've worked honestly for years, and now you're accused of stealing something that magically appeared in your things?" "Yes," Eliza said, her voice breaking. "And now I'm here, and I don't know how to prove I didn't do it." The man thought for a moment, then said, "Well, Miss Eliza, you're in luck. I'm Liam Bradford, one of the best criminal lawyers in Boston, and your story interests me." Eliza's eyes widened. "Mr. Callahan, I can't afford a lawyer like you." He waved his hand. "Don't worry about money. I care about justice, and I'd love to show those Whitmores the truth." For the first time, Eliza felt a tiny bit of hope. "Would you really help me?" Callahan smiled confidently. "Absolutely. As soon as we get out of here, I'll make your case my top priority. We'll prove your innocence and find out who's really behind this." That night, Eliza and Liam talked about the case and started making a plan. Despite the cold cell and the scary situation, Eliza felt like things might finally turn around. The next morning, the bars of Eliza's cell opened. "Your lawyer is here," a policeman said. Eliza stood up and saw Liam, now dressed sharply in a navy blue suit. "Good morning, Miss Eliza," he said with a smile. "Ready to get started?" Eliza nodded, feeling a mix of relief and nervousness. "More than ready, Mr. Callahan." In the interrogation room, Liam got serious. "Eliza, let's go over everything again. We'll find the truth and clear your name." For the next 90 minutes, Eliza told him everything, holding on to the hope that justice would be on her side. Liam was listening carefully, writing things down, and sometimes asking smart questions. He looked at Eliza and asked, "You mentioned the Whitmore's daughter, Caitlin. You said she looked guilty when you were taken away. Can you tell me more about her?" Eliza hesitated. "Caitlin's always been a nice girl, but lately she's been hanging out with older boys at school, the kind her parents wouldn't like." Liam frowned, leaning forward. "Do her parents know about this?" "I don't think so," Eliza said. "Mrs. Whitmore is very strict, and Caitlin has been hiding things from her." "Interesting," Liam said, standing up. He walked across the room with a thoughtful look on his face. "Eliza, I think we're onto something. I can't promise anything, but I have an idea about what might have happened." Eliza's heart started beating faster. "What do you mean?" Liam gave her a confident smile with a hint of playfulness. "Teenagers can make big mistakes when they feel pressured, but first we need to get you out of here." The next few hours went by in a blur. Liam moved through the police station like he belonged there. He argued, convinced, and sometimes even pushed people until Eliza was finally let go on parole. When they walked out into the bright Boston sunshine, Eliza felt like she could breathe again. "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Callahan," she said. "Call me Liam," he said, "and don't thank me yet. We still have work to do." He led her to a fancy car parked nearby. "Let's go to my office. We need to make a plan." Liam's office was in a tall, shiny building in Boston's financial district. The door had a sign that read Callahan Associates. Eliza felt a little nervous walking in. Liam took her straight to his private room, which had big windows showing the whole city. "Please, have a seat," he said, pointing to a comfy leather chair. As Liam made coffee, Eliza noticed how at ease he seemed in his office. It felt like this was his world. He handed her a cup and sat at his desk. "All right, let's plan what we're going to do next." They talked about every detail of the case. Liam explained the legal stuff, while Eliza shared what she knew about the Whitmore family. As they worked, Eliza grew more and more impressed by Liam's smart thinking and focus. "You know," Liam said, leaning back in his chair, "this case is about more than just the law for me." "What do you mean?" Eliza asked. He looked at her thoughtfully. "You, Eliza, you're strong, honest, and determined to prove you're innocent. Not everyone would keep fighting like this." Eliza felt her face warm up. "Thank you, but I can't just sit back and accept being blamed for something I didn't do." Liam gave her a small smile. "That's why we're going to win this. Together." Just then, someone knocked on the door. Liam's secretary walked in with a stack of papers. "Mr. Callahan, here are the files you asked for on the Whitmore family." "Thanks, Jennifer," he said. "Cancel my appointments for today. This case is top priority." After she left, Liam turned back to Eliza. "All right, let's get started. We have to prove your innocence." They spent the afternoon going through the documents, searching for clues. Slowly, they became a team. At one point, Eliza noticed Liam watching her. "Is something wrong?" she asked. He shook his head, smiling. "Nothing. I was just thinking how extraordinary you are. Most people would have given up, but not you." Eliza's heart skipped a beat. "Thank you, but I couldn't do this without you." Their eyes met for a moment, but Liam quickly got back to business. "I think we've done enough for today. Let's rest and pick this up tomorrow." As Eliza stood up to leave, Liam stopped her. "If you need a place to stay, I have a guest apartment. It's yours if you want it." She was surprised. "That's very kind of you, Liam." "It's nothing," he said with a warm smile. "We're in this together now." The guest apartment was beautiful, overlooking the Charles River. That night, as Eliza got ready for bed, she thought about how much her life had changed in just 2 days. The next morning, Eliza woke up early. She made coffee and reviewed her notes. At 8:30, the doorbell rang. Liam stood there with a briefcase and a bag of bagels. "Good morning," he said, smiling. "I thought we could plan our day over breakfast." As they ate, Liam said, "We need to talk to Caitlin Whitmore. She's the best lead we have." Eliza nodded. "But how? The Whitmores won't let me near her." Liam grinned. "Leave that to me. I know someone at her school who can help us meet her." They spent the morning making calls and finalizing their plan. Around noon, Liam's phone rang. His expression grew serious as he listened. "We'll be there," he said. "What is it?" Eliza asked. "The police found new evidence. They want to question us again." Eliza's heart pounded. "Is that good or bad?" "I don't know yet, but don't worry. I'll be right beside you." Detective Johnson met them and led them into a room. "Thanks for coming. We've had some developments in the case," he said. Liam leaned forward. "What kind of developments?" Johnson opened a file. "The fingerprints on the necklace don't match Eliza's." Eliza felt relieved, but Liam stayed calm. "Whose are they?" "Partially Caitlin Whitmore's. The rest belong to someone we haven't identified yet." Eliza and Liam exchanged a look. This confirmed their suspicions about Caitlin. "We also found security footage," Johnson continued. "Caitlin met with an unknown man the night before the robbery." Liam's voice was firm. "This casts doubt on my client's guilt. You should reconsider the charges." After a long back and forth, Johnson finally agreed to expand the investigation. Later, they went to a park near Caitlin's school. Caitlin was sitting on a bench, looking nervous. When she saw them, her eyes filled with fear. "Caitlin," Eliza said gently, sitting beside her, "we need to talk." Tears welled up in Caitlin's eyes. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she said. Liam knelt in front of her. "We know you're involved, but we also know you didn't do this alone. Tell us the truth." Through her tears, Caitlin confessed. She talked about feeling pressure at school and how an older boyfriend convinced her to take her mom's necklace to impress him. Eliza sat on her bed, holding her head in her hands. Things had gotten so messy. Caitlin had been so scared after hiding the necklace among Eliza's things. She hadn't meant for things to get so out of hand. "I didn't know Mom would go through your things," Caitlin sobbed. "When I realized what I had done, I was too scared to tell the truth." Eliza felt a mix of relief and sympathy. She reached out and held Caitlin's hand. "Oh, Caitlin?" Liam, always calm and clever, spoke gently. "Caitlin, you know what you did was wrong, don't you? But you also know that telling the truth now can make things right and help Eliza." Caitlin wiped her tears and nodded. "Yes, I want to do the right thing." Liam smiled and explained a plan to her. Caitlin promised to tell her parents and the police everything, but she wanted Liam to help her face the consequences. After Caitlin left, Eliza turned to Liam. She felt tired but hopeful. "Do you think this will work?" she asked. Liam put a comforting hand on her shoulder and smiled. "I think it will. The truth always comes out, Eliza, and when it does, you'll be free." Looking into Liam's eyes, Eliza felt something shift in her heart. It wasn't just gratitude, it was something deeper. "Liam," she said, her voice shaky, "I don't know how to thank you for everything." He stepped a little closer. "You don't need to thank me, Eliza. Doing the right thing and fighting for justice is what I do." They stood there for a moment, the air between them full of feelings they didn't say out loud. Finally, Liam broke the silence with a small laugh. "We have a lot to do tomorrow. Let's get dinner and talk about our next steps." Eliza agreed, feeling a little disappointed and relieved at the same time. As they walked to the car, side by side, she couldn't help but think about how much her life had changed. And in the middle of all the chaos, she was starting to feel something new for Liam. That evening, they had dinner at a little Italian restaurant near Liam's apartment. They talked about her case, but also about other things. Eliza found herself charmed by Liam's humor and kindness. When they said goodnight, there was a feeling in the air, like there was more they wanted to say to each other. Liam hesitated for a moment, then smiled and wished her a good night. Lying in bed later, Eliza thought about her growing hope of proving her innocence and about her growing feelings for Liam Bradford. The next morning, Eliza woke up to her phone ringing loudly. It was Liam, and he sounded upset. "Eliza, we need to meet right away. There's been a twist in the case." Half an hour later, Eliza arrived at Liam's office with a cup of coffee. She found him pacing, his hair messy for the first time. "What happened?" she asked, worried. Liam stopped and looked at her. "Caitlin confessed to her parents, just like she promised, but it didn't go the way we hoped. The Whitmores are trying to cover it up. They don't want Caitlin's story to come out, so they're pressuring the prosecutor to charge you instead." Eliza's heart sank. "That's not fair. They know it wasn't me." Liam moved closer and rested his hands on her shoulders. "I know, Eliza. Don't worry, I won't let that happen." For a moment, their eyes met, and Eliza felt her heart race. Liam broke the silence. "We need to act fast. I'm setting up a meeting with the Whitmores and the prosecutor to confront them." The rest of the morning was a blur. Liam made phone calls, prepared documents, and arranged meetings. Eliza watched him, amazed by how hard he worked for her. By noon, they were on their way to meet the prosecutor. In the car, Liam looked at her seriously. "No matter what happens in there, I'm on your side. We'll get through this together." Eliza nodded, feeling both grateful and something more she couldn't name. "Thank you, Liam, for everything." At the prosecutor's office, the Whitmores were already there with Caitlin, who looked like she had been crying. The prosecutor, Orson, greeted them. "Thank you for coming. I hear there's been an interesting development in the case." Liam wasted no time. "Interesting is an understatement, Orson. We have proof that my client is innocent and that Caitlin has confessed." Harriet Whitmore jumped up. This is nonsense. Our daughter was forced into saying this. Mom, stop, Caitlin cried. Tears ran down her face. You know it's true. I did it. Eliza didn't. The room went quiet. Liam used the moment to present the evidence: fingerprints on the necklace, security footage, and Caitlin's confession. George Whitmore finally spoke. Orson, this is serious, but isn't there a way to handle this privately? Eliza felt anger rise inside her. They still cared more about their reputation than the truth. But then Liam did something unexpected. He stood up and spoke with quiet strength. Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore, I understand you want to protect your daughter, but in doing so, you're letting an innocent woman suffer. Eliza has worked for you for years. She's honest and kind. If you keep pushing these false charges, I'll take this case public. Imagine the scandal, a rich family framing a maid to protect themselves. The room was silent. Finally, George Whitmore sighed. You're right, we made a mistake. He turned to Eliza. We're so sorry. We'll drop all the charges. The rest of the meeting went by quickly. When they left, Eliza felt like a heavy weight had been lifted off her. Outside in the parking lot, she turned to Liam. I don't know how to thank you, she said, her voice full of emotion. Liam smiled. You don't have to thank me, Eliza. I did it because I care about you. The air between them felt different, full of emotions they couldn't hide anymore. Eliza stepped closer. Liam, Before she could finish, Liam kissed her. It was a kiss filled with all the feelings they had been holding back. When they pulled apart, Liam rested his forehead against hers. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have asked. Eliza laughed softly. Don't be sorry, I wanted it too. They stood there for a moment, holding each other. What now? Eliza asked. Liam grinned. Now I think I owe you a proper dinner. What do you think? Eliza smiled. I think it's a great idea. That evening, they had dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant. The soft sound of violins played as candles flickered on the tables. Liam, dressed casually, seemed more relaxed and warm than ever. After they ordered their food, Liam asked, So how do you feel now that it's all over? Eliza took a deep breath. Honestly, I'm still thinking about everything. The past few days were so busy, and it's only now I feel like I can catch my breath. Liam nodded kindly. That's normal. You've been through a lot. Eliza smiled. Even though it was hard, I feel like something good came out of it. She looked at him, her eyes full of meaning. Liam smiled back and touched her hand. I feel the same. When I first met you in that cell, I never thought we'd end up here. As they ate, they talked about their lives. Eliza shared stories of her childhood in Chicago and her move to Boston to find new opportunities. Liam talked about becoming a lawyer, his struggles, and his victories. Eliza played with the last piece of tiramisu on her plate. I still don't know what I'm going to do next. I can't go back to working for the Whitmores. Liam leaned forward, his eyes bright with an idea. How would you feel about working in my office? Eliza blinked, surprised. In your office? But I'm not a lawyer. Not as a lawyer, Liam explained. We need someone to organize cases, help clients, and manage everything. You'd be perfect for the job. Eliza felt a wave of gratitude. That's such a kind offer, but wouldn't it be complicated because of us? Liam smiled. I understand, but I think we can keep things professional at work. Besides, we make a great team. Eliza laughed, feeling lighter. We really do. After dinner, they went for a walk along the harbor. The city lights sparkled on the water. Suddenly, Liam stopped and turned to her. There's something I need to tell you, he said seriously. When I took your case, I believed you were innocent, but as we worked together, I realized I wasn't just fighting for your freedom. I was falling in love with you. Eliza's heart raced. Liam, Wait, he interrupted gently. I know everything happened fast, and I'll understand if you want to take it slow. But I need you to know, I'm serious about us. This is real. Tears welled up in Eliza's eyes. She hugged him tightly. I love you too, Liam, she whispered. It was unexpected, but I've never been so sure of anything. They kissed by the water. the city lights shining behind them. It was a kiss filled with hope for the future. In the days that followed, Eliza started working at Liam's office. They made clear rules to keep work and their personal life separate. At work, they were professional. Outside work, they were a couple in love. 2 weeks later, while Eliza was organizing files, she heard a commotion in the reception area. Curious, she went to see what was happening. She was surprised to see Caitlin Whitmore standing there, looking nervous. "Caitlin," Eliza said, walking toward her. "What are you doing here?" Caitlin turned, her eyes full of tears. "I came to apologize," she said quietly. Eliza felt a mix of emotions: hurt, compassion, and a desire to heal. She led Caitlin to a private room. "I'm so sorry," Caitlin began. "What I did to you was awful. I was scared and made a terrible mistake, but that's no excuse." Eliza listened patiently. Caitlin explained how she had been pressured by others and deeply regretted her actions. When Caitlin finished, Eliza took a deep breath. "Caitlin, what you did hurt me deeply. I almost lost everything because of your lie." Caitlin looked down in shame. "But," Eliza continued, "I can see you're trying to make things right. Forgiveness takes time, but I'm willing to try if you are." Caitlin's face lit up with hope. "Thank you, Eliza. I'll keep trying to do the right thing." They talked a little longer, and when Caitlin left, Eliza felt lighter. That evening, she told Liam about the conversation. "A few weeks ago, I thought my life was over. Now, everything feels different." Liam took her hand. "Life is full of surprises, isn't it?" Eliza smiled. "It really is." The months flew by. Eliza and Liam balanced work and their relationship. The autumn leaves in Boston turned gold and red, mirroring their happiness. But every story has challenges, and theirs was no different. One morning, Eliza found Liam in his office, frustrated after a phone call. "What's wrong?" she asked. "It's the Thompson case," he said. "The prosecution is hiding important evidence." The Thompson case involved a woman accused of fraud, but Liam believed she was innocent. "What can we do?" Eliza asked. "We'll fight," Liam said firmly. "But it's going to be tough. Long hours, late nights." Eliza nodded. "We'll do it together." The weeks were busy, with long nights at the office. One evening, Eliza suggested a break. "Let's order food and relax for a bit." Liam smiled tiredly. "You're amazing. I don't know what I'd do without you." They shared Chinese food and talked, enjoying a rare moment of peace. "I miss this," Eliza said, leaning on his shoulder. "Just the two of us." Liam hugged her. "I promise, when this case is over, we'll take a trip together." The case became harder. One day, Eliza found a small mistake in some documents that could change everything. She ran to Liam. "Look at this." He studied it and smiled. "This is exactly what we needed. Eliza, you're brilliant." They hugged, their excitement turning into a kiss. But their happiness didn't last long. They started receiving threats, and Eliza noticed a strange car following her. "Liam," she said nervously, "I think someone's watching us." Liam's face grew serious. "I've been worried about that. Maybe you should step away from this case." Eliza frowned. "No, we're in this together." Liam looked at her with admiration. "You're incredible, but please be careful." This is the text exactly as you requested. Let me know if you'd like any changes." The case pushed them to their limits. One night, after a tough day in court, they argued. "You're obsessed with this case, Liam," Eliza said, frustrated. "You're forgetting about us." Liam's eyes softened. "I know, but I can't give up. Too much is at stake." Eliza sighed. "I just want us to find balance again." Liam took her hands. "Eliza, you're the most important part of my life. I'm sorry if I made you doubt that." Tears filled her eyes. "I love you, Liam. We'll get through this." One evening, while working late, Liam and Eliza got an unexpected phone call. The person on the other end didn't say their name, but shared something very important. It was a clue that could prove Liam's client was innocent. Liam and Eliza worked really hard over the next few days, checking to see if the clue was real. It was risky, but they knew it could change everything. Finally, the day of the big trial came. The courtroom was full of people. and everyone was nervous. Liam stood up and showed the new evidence. He spoke with a strong voice, full of confidence and passion. Eliza sat in the audience, her heart beating fast. When the judge announced, "Not guilty," the room burst into cheers. Liam turned and looked at Eliza. In the middle of all the noise, they shared a quiet, happy moment. Later that night, after celebrating with their team, Liam and Eliza were alone on his balcony. The city lights sparkled under the night sky. "We did it," Eliza said, leaning against Liam. "No, Eliza, you did it," Liam replied, hugging her from behind. "Without you, your hard work, and your support, I couldn't have done this." Eliza turned to face him and smiled. "We're a team, remember? In life and at work." Liam grinned. "A team, I like that." Then, to Eliza's surprise, Liam got down on one knee. "Eliza Hartman," he said, his voice full of emotion. "These past few months have been tough, but you've made me better. You complete me. Will you marry me?" Eliza's eyes filled with happy tears. "Yes, Liam. 1,000 times yes." As he put the ring on her finger, Eliza thought about how far they'd come, from a big problem to this moment of love and joy. Under the stars, they kissed, ready to face the future together. Soon, news of their engagement spread through their office and Boston's social circles. Everyone congratulated them. Even though they were busy with work, they started making wedding plans. One sunny morning, Eliza walked into the office and saw Liam on the phone, smiling brightly. "This is an amazing chance," he said to the person on the call. "I'll talk to my fiancée and let you know." When he hung up, he hugged Eliza excitedly. "You won't believe this. Remember the case we worked on for the immigrant families? The one about stopping unfair evictions?" Eliza nodded. It was a case close to their hearts. "Well, a big human rights group noticed our work. They're opening an office in Boston, and they want me to lead it." Eliza was so proud of Liam. "That's incredible," she said. But then Liam added, "The job means I'll have to travel a lot, maybe even stay in other countries for a while." Eliza felt sad at the thought of being apart, especially with their wedding coming up. But she also knew how much this meant to him. "We'll figure it out," she said, determined. "You should take it. It's a dream opportunity." That night, they sat on the balcony again, talking about their future. "I've been thinking about my career too," Eliza said. "What do you mean?" Liam asked. "Working with you has inspired me. I want to become a lawyer too," she said. Liam's eyes lit up. "Really? That's amazing." "I'm looking at evening law school programs," Eliza explained. "I can work during the day and study at night." Liam held her hands. "You'd be an incredible lawyer, Eliza. You're smart, kind, and determined." The next few weeks were very busy. Liam accepted the new job, and they adjusted things at the office. Eliza took on more work to prepare for the times Liam would be away. One day, while organizing files, Eliza found an old photo of her and Liam. "Look at this," she said. "It feels like a lifetime ago." Liam smiled. "Who would have thought that day would lead us here?" "It's amazing how life changes," Eliza said, resting her head on his shoulder. Finally, the day came for Liam's first trip. At the airport, Eliza held his hand tightly. "I'll call you every day," Liam promised. "I'll miss you, but I'm proud of you," Eliza said, trying not to cry. They hugged before he boarded the plane. As she walked back to her car, Eliza took out a letter she'd received. It was her acceptance into law school. She smiled, excited for this new chapter in both their lives. A month later, while Liam was away, Eliza got an unexpected call from Caitlin, someone she hadn't spoken to in a long time. "Eliza, I need your help," Caitlin said, her voice shaky. "What's wrong?" Eliza asked. "It's complicated," Caitlin said. "Can we meet?" They met at a small cafe. Caitlin looked scared and sad. "I made a mistake," she admitted. "I got involved in a fraud scheme at my university." Eliza wanted to be angry, but she remembered Liam's words about kindness and second chances. "What you did was wrong," Eliza said gently. "But you're asking for help, and that's a good first step. Let's work together to fix this." Eliza used everything she had learned from Liam and her law studies to help Caitlin. They made a plan for Caitlin to confess and take responsibility. One evening, while working on Caitlin's case, Eliza got a video call from Liam. His face appeared on the screen, tired but happy. "Hey, love," he said. "How's everything going over there?" Eliza hesitated for a moment before telling Liam about Caitlin. To her surprise, Liam wasn't upset or disappointed. Instead, his face lit up with pride. "Eliza," he said, his voice full of feelings, "this is why I love you so much. You can forgive and see the good in people. It's amazing." As Eliza looked at Liam's face on the screen and thought about their journey together, she felt grateful and full of love. Even though they were far apart, she had never felt so close to him. "I'm so proud of you," Liam continued. "Helping Caitlin get ready for law school is incredible. You're becoming so strong, Eliza, and I can't wait to see our future together." They talked about his return and the start of Eliza's classes. Outside, the sun was setting over Boston. It was the end of one chapter and the start of a new one, full of challenges and love. Eliza knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Late nights studying, hard cases, and times when Liam would be away. But she felt ready to face anything with him by her side. Together, they were building a life full of love, justice, and hope. It was just the beginning of their story. 5 years later, Eliza stood on her apartment balcony. The Boston skyline was painted pink and gold by the rising sun. She held a warm cup of coffee and smiled as she heard soft footsteps behind her. Strong arms wrapped around her, and she leaned back into Liam's chest. "Good morning, Dr. Eliza Bradford," he said, kissing her cheek. "Ready for your big day?" Eliza turned to look at him, the man who had been her rock, her partner, and her biggest supporter for years. "As ready as I'll ever be," she said with a nervous smile. Today, she would defend her first big case as a lawyer. After years of studying at night, balancing work, family, and school, she had graduated from law school and passed the bar exam. Her first case was important, fighting for immigrant workers' rights against a big company. This kind of work had inspired Liam to join a human rights group years ago. "You're going to be amazing," Liam said proudly. "Trust yourself and speak from the heart. That's what makes you such a great lawyer." Eliza nodded, feeling braver with his support. It hadn't been easy. She had almost given up many times during late-night study sessions and when Liam was away for work, but together, they had made it through. Before leaving, Eliza stopped to look at a photo on the wall. It was from their wedding 3 years ago. The ceremony was small, with close friends and family. Caitlin was in the photo too, smiling shyly, a reminder that people can change and start fresh. "Thinking about the past?" Liam asked, noticing her thoughtful look. "Yes," Eliza said with a smile. "It's amazing to think how far we've come." "Life is full of surprises," Liam said, pulling her close. "But I wouldn't trade our journey for anything." At the courthouse, Eliza felt nervous as she looked at the crowded room. Her clients, immigrant families, sat in the front row, hoping for justice. When the judge entered, Eliza stood up, feeling the weight of her responsibility. Then, she saw Liam in the gallery, smiling at her. His support gave her strength. "Your Honor," she began, her voice steady and clear, "we are here today to fight for fairness and dignity for these families. This is about justice and the American dream." The hours flew by as Eliza presented her case. She spoke with passion, using everything she had learned and drawing from her own experience with injustice. When the judge ruled in favor of the workers, the room erupted in cheers. Eliza's clients hugged her, tears of joy in their eyes. Liam made his way to her, his face glowing with pride. "You were amazing," he said, hugging her tightly. That evening, they celebrated in Eliza's apartment with friends, colleagues, and some of her clients. During a quiet moment, Eliza found herself talking to Caitlin. Now a young woman working in social services, Caitlin said, "Eliza, I've never properly thanked you, not just for helping, but for showing me how one person can change things for the better." Eliza's heart filled with emotion. Seeing you grow into the amazing woman you are today is all the thanks I need." Later, Eliza and Liam stood on the balcony, looking at the city lights. "So, Dr. Eliza Bradford," Liam teased, "what's next? Are you going to conquer the legal world or join me at the human rights group?" Eliza smiled and kissed him softly. "Actually," she said, her voice full of emotion, "I was thinking it's time we start our own family." Liam's eyes widened, then filled with happy tears. "You mean?" Eliza nodded and placed his hand on her belly. "Surprise, Daddy!" Laughing and crying, Liam hugged her tightly. Under the starry Boston sky, Eliza thought about her journey. She had gone from being wrongly accused to becoming a lawyer, a loving wife, and now a mother-to-be. As they looked out over the city, she felt thankful and excited for the future. Life wouldn't be easy, but with Liam by her side and love guiding them, she knew they could handle anything. "I love you," Liam whispered, his hand on her belly. "I love you too," Eliza said, her heart full of hope. Under the stars, with the city sounds in the background, their story continued. A story of love, justice, and hope, with so much more to come. Thank you for watching. If you like this story and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. That way, you won't miss any new videos. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share what you think in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts. Also, don't forget to check out the other videos on our channel. We'll see you in the next story.